Good afternoon, everybody. We'll give a few moments for everybody to join in, but welcome to Revizto Infrastructure and Revizto OpenBIM workflows. So thanks for attending. Just have a look at see how many more people we've got coming up. Yeah, so hopefully it's going to be an interesting session. We've got a couple of legends speaking. Goody from AECOM and Ian from Revizto. I don't know how many decades of experience they've got between them, but quite a number. Oh, here's Ian.
Sorry, I got lost.
All good. Right. So I think we might kick off a couple of minutes in. So yeah, welcome everybody. I'm just going to start with today's agenda. Housekeeping, we'll run through introductions, a brief intro to what Revizto is, and then, as I said, Ian and Goody will run through some real-life OpenBIM workflows. At the end, we'll get into having a look at the new features in 5.16, which should be out very shortly, and then looking at the roadmap a little bit further into the distance later this year with our 5.17 and our infrastructure tools, which is really exciting for us. And then we'll have a Q&A session at the end. Housekeeping, you're all muted, which is all good. It is being recorded, so you will get a link to this after the session. We've got a Q&A at the end, so any questions, stick them in the chat, and we've got Danny here who will moderate those. Just keep an eye out for the polls to participate in those. And then any future webinars we've got on there as well. So who's in the room? So I'm Chris Mawson. I'm the APAC Customer Success Director. I'm been in the industry about 35 years now, originally a structural engineer for 32 of those. Been with Revizto nearly coming up for 3 years, and I'm based in a little place called Wanaka down in the South Island of New Zealand. I'll leave it up to Ian and Goody to introduce themselves when they get to their section. So wait for us on that. Poll time. So please get your phones out. We've got a couple of little polls to ask you some questions. So we'll give you a minute to run through those. Please interact. It'd be good to see and get your views on some of these. So are you currently working on or planning to work on an infrastructure project that requires multiple authoring software to work together? We've got 100% at the moment. We'll give it a... Well, that's good to see, Ian and Goody. All the good work and planning. Yeah, we've got a few more votes coming in, so we'll give it a little bit more. Okay, so seems like a lot of you are actively working on one at the moment, so which is good to see. Let's have a look at the next one. Do you experience any interoperability issues when working across multiple software platforms? Expect this to be, well, we'll wait and see, I guess. As I was saying, having worked in the industry, being on the cold face, like a lot of you on the calls, understand your pain points and what you need to go through to, especially on these large infrastructure projects. So, yeah. So I think that's a resounding yes for that one there. Well, conscious of time, so let's rattle through these. Are you using an OpenBIM workflow to overcome interoperability challenges? This will be an interesting one, I think. So I guess, Ian, Goody, you could probably add to this as well with some of your experience.
I would have thought the green one would have been the most popular. Yeah, that would where I
Yeah.
would have headed.
So yeah, it seems like a lot of improvements to had. So anyway, let's leave it there. There is a poll right at the end, just if you want to follow up. We'll stop that there. Okay, a little about Revizto. So this is our vision. So as I touched on earlier, a lot of the crew that work for Revizto come from the industry. We'll have a look at them a little bit later, but we had various conversations internally. We thought, yeah, we thought the construction industry is a little bit broken, and we want to change it. We want to change the way that we collaborate on these really big infrastructure projects and building projects as a whole. And I think we've achieved that with the software that we've created. Did a little bit of digging for this presentation just to have a look at some of the stats. I think we all know the construction industry is, dare I say, broken. I don't think it's totally broken, but there are issues with project overruns. There's some bonkers stats here from McKinsey productivity report. 98% have cost overruns over 30%. So you've got $1 billion project, that's 300 million in cost overruns. Average cost increase 8% of the original value, 20 months overrun. So these are all stats which are out there, and hopefully, by collaborating more together and using the software, we can eliminate some of these. So if you've not used Revizto before, I think a lot of people on the call probably have. It's an integrated collaboration platform. It's not just for looking at 3D models and things like that. It's a lot more. We've got 2D issues in there. The biggest thing is the issue tracker. We can clash automate from different models and things like that, different subsets. We've also got VR, QR, asset management. QTO is something that we're pushing at the moment with our QSs as well. And it's not just for the BIM crew, the designers. It's a lot more than that. We can, a lot of the tier one, or most of the tier one contractors in the ANZ region are using it. So it's a lot more than just using it in the design stages as well. These are the plugins that we can plug into. Obviously, we're going to talk about IFC and BCF today as well, being an open BIM format. But yep, these are the mainstays of certainly the plugins that we interact with as well, integrate. Just want to touch briefly on the APAC CS team. We all come from industry. We're all experts, so please reach out to your CS person in your region. Ian heads up the infrastructure side of things. He's got 40 odd years, I think, of experience in that. But we've got people in Singapore now. Sharon started with us, and we've got people starting in Japan coming up as well. Run through a few project examples. So as I said, we're using it across ANZ region. We're doing a lot with national kind of industry, governments and Transport for New South Wales, Sydney Metro, to see a few. Kiwi Rail's been a massive advocate of ours for years, so they've been mandating it on a lot of their projects. So we're talking hundreds of projects and hundreds of billions of dollars worth of projects as well. These are some of the big designers and contractors that we're working with. Obviously, at AECOM today, Goody's going to be talking to them, but the CPB, we've been doing a lot in Western Australia. Ian's been out there last week, catching up with Lang & Rourke as well. Some of the notable projects that we've had. So Cross River Rail in Brisbane, this has been going for multiple years now. They've been massive advocates for these. Jacobs, AECOM, CPB, using it extensively. Some of the models and the projects that have been doing have been awesome. Gold Coast Light Rail, again in Australia. So Nathan B-Plate from John Holland has really pushed the boundaries on using Revizto in this project. It's been going again for several years, and yeah, he's covered some workflows, which we'll touch on later, which I think everybody will be interested in, especially in the infrastructure side of it. Eastern Busway in Auckland. So we're having a look at different types of projects here. A road in one, 700 million. The interesting thing about this is what they're doing with the information and pushing it into GIS as well. So Ian's going to have a look at that a little bit later. But yeah, some really interesting things going on there. Northwest Project Lines in Melbourne, huge project, 10 new stations, 16 level crossings throughout Melbourne here. If you need to know more about it, Ian will fill you in. He's been heavily involved with this. So just some images of real life and the models as well. So it's been used extensively throughout this project. Another bonkers project, the Snowy Hydro 2, which is in Australia. It's a 2,200 megawatt pumped hydro facility. That's about 500,000 homes it will power. It's 800 meters underground, 40 kilometers of tunnels. Kevin Golding actually presented at our Rev Up recently, and he was showing me the model. It's absolutely bonkers. The amount of detail that they've got in there. They've got 2,000 LiDAR scans. And the model's working perfectly. So it's really, one of the beauties of Revizto is really scalable. Melconnect Perth, another rail project there, Langerock and Arup. So yeah, that's just a brief touch on of some of the projects in the area. They're not just vertical. Obviously everybody thinks Revizto is used on vertical projects, but certainly not in the APAC region, where we're doing a lot of infrastructure projects. So over to you, Ian.
Good afternoon, everybody. If that's in the region you are. My name's Ian McKinnon. I've been at Revizto about 6 months now. Previous to that, working at KBR in the linear for 8 years, and prior to that at Worley doing oil and gas. I'm not going to go any further because that's going to show how old I am. But I think Chris was starting to steal a bit of my thunder there. One of my biggest frustrations when working in the client side was whenever we'd come to one of these presentations, next slide please, Chris, it was very building centric, particularly in the software space. But if we look at this image I've got here, you see all these cities which represent all those buildings, but probably the forgotten part of infrastructure is utilities, what's connecting all those buildings. Next slide, Chris. Then we have airports in those cities. Next slide, Chris. Rail, and the next one, road. Now, infrastructure market sector is huge compared to the vertical building sector. And I think my role at Revizto is to try and change that within the business, and also, just highlight the fact and give infrastructure a bit of love in this space, because we're not getting it, or we weren't getting it. So that's my mission to change. Next slide, Chris. So a traditional old school product delivery method, it was a scattergun approach. I know a lot of maturity in that space is moving to a central source of truth BIM delivery method. So if we have the method of having a central source of truth, may it be Revizto, may it be whatever collaborative tool you want to choose, the fact is that we're going to be able to share that data. And then next slide, Chris. By sharing that data, it means we get the right information to the right people at the right time to make the right decisions. Now, part of what Chris was mentioning before, reducing the amount of rework and the reducing anything that's going to impact the delivery of the project is bringing those efficiencies into place. This is where we see we fit. We can sit in that space and have that real-time communication with people on our app instead of relying on emails or phone calls. So next slide, Chris. When we're talking about infrastructure, though, we don't have the luxury like a vertical has, probably 3 major vendors that do verticals. Authoring tools for infrastructure vary across regions. They vary across the different disciplines. So we really have to focus how we can get that data out of the multitude of different authoring tools. And if you look at the bottom file types at that I have at the bottom, the main common denominator there is IFC. So IFC leads us into the OpenBIM environment. Next slide. Thanks, Chris. So if we're comparing OpenBIM versus ClosedBIM for collaboration, the basic definition of OpenBIM and ClosedBIM comes from the nature of the BIM data in question. OpenBIM implies the data is stored in a commonly shared format and can be used in different software variations, while ClosedBIM uses proprietary formats that only open in the same software or software from the same software provider. This has caused, in my project deliveries, a lot of frustration, particularly people who are very, and I don't want to throw people under the bus, very Revit centric. I'm going to give you an NWC, but that NWC can only be used in an Autodesk product. So particularly in linear, we were moving into that IFC space. I'm not going to read the rest of that because you can read that in your own time. But by using OpenBIM, it doesn't have its own, it's not the sort of be and all, be and end all. It does have its own issues. So next slide, Chris. We have some pros and cons for ClosedBIM and OpenBIM. Now, the pros within the OpenBIM, we have an open source file type, the improved data exchange and interoperability between different authoring and viewing softwares, the enhanced collaboration and coordination between different project stakeholders, so you can align that data from conceptual right through to F&E, and the controlled versioning through work in progress state and design gates, which can be controlled. The cons, dependent on software vendors to keep pace with the open source updates for the exporting to current schemas. Now, the slide before showed multitude of softwares from different vendors. Each vendor is at a different state on how they develop their schema to export. But also the issue with that is the timing, but also I'll step into it into a bit more depth later. They're dependent on an external source to do that. So we have mixed results depending on format and mappings provided. We also have different softwares having different vendors having different interpretations. Next slide, thanks, Chris. So this is where I'm sort of trying to head with this sort of comment. We could have a building that is done from 4 different, or building or road or whatever, from 4 different authoring tools. So you have your 3D data elements and your on one side that are then reverse engineered, and all of the vendors have to send their reverse engineered information to a software development kit. This is then deconstructed and then exported to IFC. That layer of interpretation can vary across all the different authoring tools. Plus, it also can vary depending on how that schema is interpreted within their own development team. So if we had the same building, we'd have a BPrep version from all different authoring tools, which may not be the same because they haven't read the schema the same way and they haven't done any mapping the same way. Next slide. Thanks, Chris. So where does that leave us? Now, Autodesk have put up a new format, which is USD, not the United States dollar, but it is called, I've got to have it in my notes. Where's it gone? The only note I needed. Universal Scene Description, and it's from Pixar, and it's from the animation side of things. Now, the reason they're doing it is because, as I mentioned before, they have to pay for the deconstruction of their Revit or whatever Civil 3D elements and then re-engineered. They pay an annual fee to a provider to do that because they don't have the capability to provide that natively. And they're not alone. A lot of the authoring tools are the same. So they've come up with their own version. Now, USD, we're talking about it internally here, but it's not common yet. And the information that you read on the internet, it seems as though we are moving in a direction of a integration of the two. Next slide, Chris. So imagine USD and IFC combined together. I think Building Smart have identified there's an opportunity to combine them. And yeah, like the little emoji there thinking about it, we're not there yet. Right? There's all this talk about it, but currently we are left with what we have, which is IFC from Building Smart. Next slide, Chris. So Building Smart have their different versions of IFCs, and they're the ones that Revizto can consume directly. There are other ways of using the IFCs to import them into Revizto, but to get the best value or the best response is we import them directly, because you're not going through those multitudes of and adding layers of interpretation to it. It's just from the Building Smart or from the authoring tool directly to Revizto. So next slide, Chris. Now, looking at the IFC and how that can be used through the life cycle of a project, as I said, we can go from conceptual through to preliminary design, final design, IFC, and then into the construction realm. But we can also move that into the facility and maintenance by extracting that data and using that data for that F&M capability. So we have a people process technology workflow. Now, most people who might be ISO 9650 compliant or understand it will understand that the acronyms AIR, OIR, EIR, all of those ones circling around the top are really the brains behind how projects are delivered and what's required. But then when we move into that, how do we get that data? How do we exchange that data? If IFC is at the core of it, that can impact our design coordination meetings, site coordination, scheduling, procurement, DFMA, fabrication, survey set out, and machine control. So that data has a downstream effect that is going to make or provide more efficiencies across all of those different sectors within the construction industry. Now, going on board with that, okay, and I mentioned before how vendors have their interpretation of things. I did a scroll and scan and deep dive into IFC just recently. So next slide. Thanks, Chris. We are looking at doing some codification for the elements within the infrastructure environment. Now, these slides here are directly from Building Smart, but they can be interpreted differently as well. Now, I'm not saying this is the right way. I'm saying these are open for conversation, and I really hope that if there's anybody out in the room that's got more knowledge than this than me, please, I'm happy to learn. I'm not saying I'm the smartest person in the room, but if we can start to provide some images and some data on the mapping side of things that each of the softwares can actually agree on, and we can say a pavement is IFC pavement, for instance, or a pavement type, we can actually move forward and have all of the mappings assigned within that software to match. So it doesn't matter what software is authored from, the data that's coming from IFC that will be consumed by any tool should be uniform. Next slide, Chris. So that's a roads one. I have one here, a bridge. Now the example here is that we have an IFC wall, but then we have IFC dot retaining wall. Now that could be an interpretation of something else. Somebody else may want to call it something different, right? But somewhere along the line, we have to have some sort of discussion on how we're going to formalize this. Next slide, Chris. So, and here's one for rail. So again, rail is in its infancy. It's only in the latest schema. These schemas do evolve quite regularly. And so yeah, so it'd be nice if there's some people want to reach out to me to have this conversation. I'll take it offline. But definitely I would like to reach out and get some input, and so we can start to get some implication across the industry. So that's it from me. Over to Goody.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Chris. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining me in today's webinar. My name is Goody, and I'm a digital engineer lead with 25 years of experience in digital systems and digital engineering. I have been with AECOM for over 2 years now. Today, I will explain how in AECOM we have used OpenBIM and open source tools to automate our federation process with minimal cost and with more benefits. I have prepared some notes to avoid being excited and carried away and get off topic. So stay with me. Next please. Thank you. AECOM is a global infrastructure leader committed to delivering a better world. As a trusted professional services firm powered by deep technical abilities, AECOM solved the client's complex challenges in water, environment, energy, transportation, and building. AECOM is a Fortune 500 firm that had a revenue of $16.1 billion in 2024. Next slide, please. Revizto has been using AECOM ANZ building and places since 2016. In 2018, AECOM Transport acted as part of the design team in the iconic project Melbourne Metro Tunnel and engaged Revizto as a design engineering model-centric coordination and issue tracking platform. This was a targeted approach at engineers and not modelers, focus on technical design issue tracking with spatial coordination as a secondary use. Since then, Revizto turned into a business as usual tool for many AECOM ANZ civil infrastructure and transport projects. Next slide, please. So why Revizto is preferred? AECOM user found Revizto an easy tool to use. In contrast, we found similar web-based platforms clunky. User experience is the main reason applications are preferred over the web browser-based tools. Revizto issue tracking is robust and easy to engage in fast-paced design coordination meeting, aka DCMs. Our disciplined work in progress quality checks are done easier in the Revizto 3D and 2D environments. We also found Revizto to have the most advanced clash detection in the market. To enhance the Revizto user experience, we use OpenBIM tools for post-processing the IFC files and inject ISO 19650 workflow information into the federated models. This is proving very powerful, and we see it as a key approach in moving forward. Next slide, please. Revizto user experience matters, and it can be improved by the way the projects are set up in Revizto, access to the latest shared models as soon as they are shared in the CDE, easy to navigate a structure tree of the models, availability of ISO 19650 workflow metadata, coloring object as per project coloring schema, and providing predefined views. To achieve these and much more, we have developed an automated process with PowerShell, Python, and it is coupled with IFC OpenShell libraries. What you see here is the overview of the process that I will explain in detail in the next couple of slides. Next, please. So the process starts with ProjectWise. ProjectWise is AECOM's preferred tool for common data environment, CDE. Many AECOM projects are also engaging ISO 19650 workflows. The suitability code managed by the standard or the suitability code mandated by standards play a crucial role in determining the state of the files. For example, as shown in the ISO chart on top of the page, work progress files are used by modelers for daily production, updates, quality check, and review. Shared files are used for design and engineering coordination meeting. Published files are suitable for clients and construction teams' engagement environment. So, according to the target team, we can determine what version of the files must be downloaded and federated from ProjectWise. This can be coded inside the script to avoid confusion. The next step, which is circle number 2, is where PowerShell script accesses ProjectWise to download the latest version of files, which are with a determined suitability code as per targeted audience. The script will be triggered every 30 minutes to check ProjectWise for any updates. New and updated files will be downloaded, and the obsolete files will be removed from the local folder. Model attributes are exported and saved as CSV format for post-processing in the next steps. The snapshot in this slide illustrates the ProjectWise columns that can be exported, such as file name, description, file update, email of the person who uploaded the file, and so on. The next step is about the PC. We need to ensure a successful result, and for that, we need a relatively powerful PC. It should be online all the time. The PC must have access to a high-speed internet, and it should be remotely accessible for maintenance and updates. Virtual PCs or cloud services also can be utilized. Next, please. In the step 4, we will use IFC OpenShell. What is IFC OpenShell? It is an open source tool that its libraries for C++ and Python can be downloaded from its website. Our Python script recalls the IFC OpenShell library to extract model element attributes for all the objects in the IFC models. The exported attributes are saved in CSV format in a SharePoint folder, so Power BI service can access the files for the model audit and reporting. It also injects the ISO 19650 workflow information into IFC models. The information was downloaded from the CDE in the previous step. Users can easily access the injected data in the Properties tab in Navisworks and Revizto federated models. As shown in the snapshot on the right, the new tab will be created under the IFC project level. Please note the script won't be triggered if there are no updates since the last run, and it will exit without any processing. Thank you. In the next step, the Python script recalls Navisworks command lines for federating the post-process IFCs. It first categorized the IFC into groups based on our grouping criteria to create the desired branches of the file structure tree. Here you can see two scenarios of grouping the same list of files into two different structure trees. In the first one, models of the same disciplines and zones are grouped into lower branch, and then they are grouped into zones in the higher branch. While in the second scenario, models of the same companies and zone are grouped into the lower branch and again grouped into the zones in the higher branch. The script is quite flexible and can create two or more layers based on the ISO 19650 compatible file name parts. Color coding also can be applied in this step. We also can import the predetermined views to be imported into NWD for further consistencies. I will remind you that NWDs are recreated every time with every federation process. Thus, it will include all the new files and will exclude all the deleted files. So no need to add or remove anything manually. In many projects in Victoria, the federated NWD files are part of the project digital deliverables. Thank you. Next slide, please. In the step 6, the Python script uses the Revizto new scheduler command line to activate it as soon as a new federated model is available. This will trigger the Revizto scheduler to push the new federated model to the cloud. With this new feature, we can update the Revizto project without a delay. And finally, Python triggers a PowerShell script to upload the federated NWD to ProjectWise and make it available to all stakeholders who do not have access to Revizto. What you see in this snapshot is a sample of the final product exported to Revizto. You can see the file tree set in the top level. is grouped based on 8 zones, and the lower levels are grouped based on the model produced by AECOM or non-AECOM companies. Also, you can see example project-wise workflow metadata tab in the IFC project level of the selected IFC in the file tree. Next slide, please. As mentioned earlier, scripts create log files in every step of the process and save it to the SharePoint folder for future reference and debugging. Power BI reports will access the SharePoint folder and read the file log files, summarize, analyze, and visualize them. Power Automate is used to access SharePoint and Power BI to send variety of error or informative notification via email or team messages. For example, in the snapshot on the top left, there is a Power BI report. The top chart shows the daily time spent on the federation process, and the below chart illustrates the number of the daily project-wise check and the number of the successful federation every day. I also mentioned that the model element attributes are extracted and saved in a SharePoint folder. We have developed Power BI reports to analyze the model attributes and provide visual reports on the maturity of the object attributes. The below snapshot shows the pie chart of a model element's attributes quality and maturity. The system is capable of sending more targeted notification via email or Teams channels when specific event happens. For example, the top right snapshot notifications are sent via email to notify subscribers about the shared models that are advanced to certain suitability code. For deeper analysis, a Visual Basic script in Excel is developed, and the Excel reports are sent to the requesters via email. Thank you. Next one. Okay, so what's the saving? We had about 90% time saving on the manual federation process, which is huge. Also, using IFC OpenShell saved us the iConstruct $8,000 yearly subscription. But not everything is about the money, is it? Let's look at the extra features and qualities that are not possible to achieve in the manual process. We can check CDE every 30 minutes for new updates and federate them. Initiation, we can initiate the federation process if there are any updates, minimizing the wait time between the model share and federation for the 3D review. Creating easy access and customizable file tree. ISO 19650 workflow metadata made available inside the federated model. No need to add or remove new models manually anymore. Full compatibility with IFC 4.3. Compatible of automated and targeted notification. Capable of automated and targeted notification, reporting and dashboarding, consistency in quality of production for federation models, fully automated model attributes audition. So for all these benefits, what is it that we might need? It would be 2 days up to 2 weeks of initial setup time, depending on the requested features and customization. Some extra in the next month or two, but maintenance time would be maybe less than 2 hours per week. But if something like CrowdStrike or Alfred tornado happened, definitely you need more to maintain that. But one thing is important, that a decent remote PC or cloud processing services like AWS or Azure you need. But it depends on the duration of the project, which Azure or AWS might be cheaper for a short project, but preparing a remote PC would be more suitable for the longer project. This is just the beginning, and many more services can be provided. Working spaces, synchronization, such as ACC and project-wise synchronization, interoperability, model conversion, 3D DGNs to 3D DWG, IFC to DGN, 3D DWG to DGN, and all the extra type of conversions can be done on the same server. So there are a lot can be done here. Chris, last. I just want to thank Revizto team for providing this opportunity to present this webinar. I'd like to thank AECOM for allowing me to share the information presented in this webinar. Special thank goes to my manager, Brian Redden, who supported me all along. I can't name all the ANZ AECOM DE colleagues who assisted in setting up these processes, but I would like to thank them all. And finally, I'll thank everyone who joined me in today's webinar. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Giddy. Some great insights there. Yeah. Can't wait to chat more about them actually afterwards. We're going to go and have a look at some innovation stuff now, which Ian's going to run through.
Sure. So this subpart of the webinar is giving a bit of a shout out to some of our customers who have pushed the envelope. This first one was presented at RevUp, and it was done by the Eastern Busway Alliance, where they actually were able to take the data that they had within our Revizto issue tracking, create a layer using FME. So they scraped the data from using our API, they used the FME and created a layer within the GIS platform to create a heat map. Now, within the heat map, you can, if you click on the next slide, Chris, it's a bit clearer. Keep going, that one. So you can see the heat map there. You can see the, they've got NCR, all the different stamps are labeled there. And you can actually click on that link and it brings up the image from the slide from the Revizto issue, plus also the URL to that issue. So they have a direct link between GIS and the Revizto tool. Yep, thanks, Chris. It's a bit blurred, but you can see the URL. Now, I said this to Chris when I saw this. I said, this is brilliant. You know, this is fantastic. It's going to blow the industry up if we can get that to work. So we're looking to do this internally as well. Somebody mentioned to me, but it wouldn't really apply to buildings, but it does, because if you had a building like the one on the corner, your heat map might be quite dense, but the level or the Z value can also be used as a filter. So you can filter through floor to floor. So it would still be very applicable within a building sense as well. So yeah, we're looking at to do that. A big sort of a recognition to Ahmet from Eastern Busway, who sort of went through this and the pain with our internal API guys. So yeah, sort of cheer to him. The next one, it's a video that Chris is going to play now. He's going to play at twice speed because it's a bit long. This was done with John Holland and our API guru yet again. They had the idea of taking photos on site, so walking the alignment on site, depending on be it road or rail, whatever it was, getting the data from the GPS location from the photos, and then taking that data, pushing it into Revizto and creating an issue at that location. So as you can see here, they've got 3 photos in the folder, they're picking their coordinate system, and then they're going to say, okay, I'm going to position the alignment, and then it goes into the Revizto, and you can see that there's a stamp there called pick, that they've used the pick stamp. So they go to the issue tracker, got 3 issues there now created from those 3 photos. The only bit you have to do is just align the image to make sure, because it comes in flat, but it gives you that same position that the photo was taken from. So where we see this being very beneficial is that you can be doing defect lists, you can be doing requests for information, anything that's requiring a photo can be automatically updated using this plugin. So this is available, just have to reach out to us if it's available now for anybody to use. So, and there's, yeah, the video's still going. There's one that's doesn't have a slide, but there's a company in Perth who I visited just recently. I won't shout out their name or anything yet because I don't want to steal their thunder. They're going to present it. They've been doing a lot of 4D constructability, utilizing the WBS code from their work breakdown structure. They use it at their startup meetings, at their huddles, and go, this is the work we did last week. This is the work we're doing this week. This is the work that's coming up. safety get involved, saying, well, this is the work, this is where the lifting areas are. So they're utilising our tool day to day and week to week to facilitate everything across the project. So there, again, that's another presentation that's coming up, but I just wanted to give them a shout out to say that we had not forgotten you guys. So over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Ian. Just to reiterate, so we do have our own in-house person called Ahmed. So if you want to chat about integration, API, and things like that, then reach out to your local CSM, and then we can put you in touch with them as well. So I get the fun part, 5.16. I get to tell you what's coming in the next release. It's coming soon. We don't have a exact date yet, but I've got some new features. This is not all of them, but it's the kind of nuggets that we've picked out. Schedule improvements. So there's improvements if you've got missing links in your Revit files and things like that, it'll still push it through. Clash, we've got required objects now. So we're moving away from 2 objects clashing to actually required objects, which is a major step forward. This is one thing that I think is going to blow people's minds. The 2D, 3D split screen, like what you've got on the phone. If you've used the phone app, you can move around the drawing and the 3D model at the same time. We've now got it in the application, and I think it's going to open up a lot of different workflows for people, you know, marking out or looking at a 2D and a 3D environment. 2D galleries have been completely redesigned. This is part of our ongoing upgrade, which will be releasing in version 6. Yeah, you heard it, but it's not quite ready yet. It's going to be a few months away, several months away. But we're redesigning the 2D side of things. So there's going to be a lot more functionality in there and markups. Public dashboards, having the ability to publish it onto the web so anybody's got access with the passcode. Chats from clashes. So this is one that's been requested over the years. So yeah, I think that's going to be a great tool as well. And then just more automation, which we'll look at later. But there's more coming later this year. The one thing I want to shout about, but I can't show you the videos yet. Infrastructure project support. So we've recognized a number of years ago that infrastructure is massive for us. We're not, as I said right at the start, we're not just in the vertical theme, we're in horizontal scene as well. So we're building some infrastructure support tools in that space. So yeah, really excited to be able to share that with you. This will be coming out in 5.17. We don't have an exact date on that, but as soon as we start getting some beta versions, then we'll reach out to some of you and then get feedback on the new tools. Temporary 3D scenes, clashes grouped by search set, which has been a massive one for a number of years. The pushing and pulling of data. I think we all know that the clash is kind of low-hanging fruit. There's a lot more that we can be doing in this space, and I think the information or the data associated with the elements is key to moving forward. So this is a massive, going to be massive functionality for us in here. Issue automation is coming, 2D reports and dashboards, and then we're overrunning the enterprise admin support tool side of things. So it's going to be a lot easier to manage your licenses and things like that. Revizto Academy, just touch on this. If you've not seen it, this is what we've got in it at the moment. We're continually updating it. So we've got nearly 6 hours of free training. We've got 3 certifications now. 3 Revizto Essentials courses. So if you've got new team members coming on board, you can push them into Revizto Academy, and then they can start to do all the Essentials courses. So it takes the load off you as a team or the CS team as well, so we can onboard your team a lot quicker as well. This is what we got at the moment. As I say, watch this space. We've got another half a dozen which are going to drop fairly soon. And this is the different certifications that we've got at the moment. So please check it out. If you need any help with those, speak to your CSMs we can help you with that. So I think we're right.
There are a few questions already, Chris.
Yeah.
And one of them, any news on the update of single multiple selection tool? One of the 5.16 features is that they will have a windows and a crossing selection as well. And that also leads into your isolation tools as well. So Chris hasn't shown that, but that's part of it. There was a question for Goody. Are you using the CDE ProjectWise for model federation? If yes, using IFC or Revit or other model extensions, and how to open the model federation for the ProjectWise? Now, Goody's answered it. I don't know if everybody sees these questions. Do you want to answer that, Goody, verbally?
Yes, we are using ProjectWise as CDE, and because we are implementing the ISO 19650 standard, it means that everything must be uploaded there first. So when you're sharing a file, it means that you have to upload the native model plus the converted models like IFC, DWG, or anything that is mandated by the project requirement. And we are using those IFCs. And the beauty of that, because when we download those IFCs, we have all the workflow information downloaded with the file. About what was the next question? How to open the model federation from ProjectWise? I don't quite understand that, but we download the files IFC and federate them, and then we can upload them back to ProjectWise and make it available to the rest of the team.
Okay. Now, Chris, there's another 5 questions you can probably rattle through as well.
Let me open those. Has there been any progress in addressing the GUID issue and clash detection? So yeah, the team are continuously working with this and the algorithms. So we have made some improvements to that in the past, but yeah, it's continually being updated and assessed. So use on if 2D model views. Use when if 2D model views, e.g. plan views, section view, etc. will be available. Quite understand that. Anybody else?
It might be the 2D, 3D split, maybe.
Any further integrations with ACC? So it's not at the moment. No, it's just the continued functionality that we've got at the moment with 2D sheets. Any synchro for any plugin for Synchro 4D in Revizto?
I can answer that with what happened with the guys in Perth. They actually said if we could link P6 to Revizto, they'd get rid of Synchro and Navisworks. So that's been mentioned to the dev team, and it's obviously early days, but that demonstration will come through on how they're actually utilizing the appearance templates to do that constructability. So that's a, watch this space type answer. I know the Kevin Golding answer, but I'm going to let Goody answer that.
Yeah, do you want me to answer? Yeah. There are 2 main reasons. First reason is that unfortunately in Revizto still we can't create that nice file tree. So I wish we had, but that's one of my requested features. It's been staying there for a long time. So we had to build that object tree or file tree in Navisworks. The other one,
just an extension on that, Goody. Basically, using the Navisworks to compartmentalize either discipline or work pack or zones or in companies is what Goody's done.
Correct.
Goody's using NWDs. Our recommendation is not to use NWUs, but use the NWF, because going back to what we said about the software vendors putting an extra layer of complexity on when it goes to an NWD, it's dropping elements off. So if anybody's using NWDs, try and use NWFs to minimize that.
Yeah, but in NWFs, you can't create that file structure. So we had no other option. The second reason for that, because most of the projects in VSA, Victoria and South Australia, the providing NWDs are part of the project requirement. So that's the deliverable for the project. So we are, that's a byproduct of the process for that purpose. So I hope that I've answered your question. And is it the next one to me? Can we add facilities to download the file directly from the select tree?
No, that's one for us.
Yeah.
We don't have the ability to store the files natively yet. 6.0 will have a shared data environment. We've been told that you can actually do model comparison, but until we get that, we don't know. We don't know what that functionality will be. So that's probably the answer to that one.
Is there any new 2D tools to adjust scale position of non-Revit export PDF into the model?
Is that for the overlay height? Can you confirm? Or is that for measure?
Yes. I don't know which. Yes. Yes to both.
Yes to both. Okay. Do you want to answer that, Chris?
Well, you can. It's new tools to adjust scale position for non-Revit. You can adjust the size of the sheet for the overlays, but yeah.
And you collaborate the scale so you can get your measurements right. So yeah.
Yeah, maybe I don't know who your CSM is, Heidi, but maybe reach out to them, and then we can go through that with you.
I think this next one's for Goody. So the model federation is not performed inside the project-wise then.
Exactly. That's true. So we are not federating the inside project-wise. All the files are downloaded and they're converted, and all the post-processing is happening in our PC, and then they get federated, and then they get uploaded back to Revizto. I think that's the answer to your next question. What's the connection between ProjectWise and Revizto? That's our PC. PC downloads the files, federates them, processes them, and then pushes back to ProjectWise and pushes to Revizto.
I have a streamlined version of that too, where you can use your ProjectWise drive and use the scheduler to directly upload the files directly.
Correct, that is possible, but there's a problem with the suitability code, because ProjectWise drive always download the latest files, but latest file may not be the correct suitability. It doesn't have the correct suitability code. So to select the proper file in the previous versions, you need to use a code to download that.
Any more questions?
I think the question answers that. Is there any standard workflows to use the best of Revizto? So many different workflows. So again, either scan the QR code and put your name in there, and we'll reach out to you, or reach out to your local CSM that's dealing with you. Adam Crouch, excited for the civil tools in Revizto.
Well, I wanted to present more on that, but I got told I couldn't. But there are some. If you want to see some tools, I can share them with you offline. Why is that your software size is huge? Is that like the footprint of the software, or are you talking about when a project's loaded? I'm not sure about that question.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that we do hear all the time, you talk about software size or project size, the ability of Revizto to handle massive data sets. I know the Snowy Hydro from, speaking with Kevin on that project, they've got 2,000 scans in there. And it's a massive project. And, we're doing giga projects around the world, which, the data sets are huge. The ability to open them inside of Revizto is just, phenomenal.
Yeah. Now, there's one from Kevin. When using a non-Navis workflow, what's everyone's thoughts on a final handover looks like in terms of file types? Oh, where's it gone? file types or federated models when thinking about future use by the owner. Now, we've discussed this internally. You can do an executable at the moment. There's been discussion with our CIO and the dev team about doing a NWD because that seems to be blame transport for New South Wales for this, the common file that they want to share. But internally as well, there's now an F&M price point as well. So as the project is at completion and you're handing it over to the client, they can continue to use that data using this F&M price point. So there are different options for that, is what I'm saying. That's good enough, is it, Chris? I haven't covered that.
Yeah, sorry, I was reading another question. But...
Goody, can you describe switchback is helpful for the federation of the model?
I'm not sure if you're referring to using Navisworks as a switchback, but if that is the question, if you've checked the recent updates in Navisworks 2025, you wouldn't say that it's not a switchback. It's huge advance compared to the previous versions, and it has lots of new command lines and lots of new methods of reading files. So it is a huge step ahead, not switchback, if what I understood is correct.
So I think we're out of time. So thank you.
Whoever's mentioned about the as-built verification, if they want to know any more, hit me up because I do have some conversation points on that, but we've run out of time.
All right. Yep. So thanks everybody. I appreciate everybody's time today. If you want to get in touch with us, contact's there. If you want to reach out to your local CSM, please do. We're a friendly bunch. So yeah, it'd be good to have a conversation.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Yeah. All right.
We don't take ourselves too seriously. So thank you all.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Goody, as well.
Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.